Hello, my name is Dominique Hinton, and I'm here to talk to you about pursuing biochemistry as a major at UMES. We're going to start off with enrollment first. Enrollment when I was looking in college was one of the first things I looked at, just to see how everyone was doing in this field. So in total at UMES, there are 3,278 undergraduate students in the year 2016 to 2017. So this is referring to school year, so fall 2016, spring 2017. And out of that 3,278 undergraduate students, there are 1,805 undergraduate female students in the fall 2016 and spring 2017 year. And then out of the 3,278 undergraduate students, there are 702 undergraduate students in the agriculture and natural science department. On this slide, there are university demographics. So I have 5 categories: total enrollment, undergraduate, graduate, full-time, and part-time. Even though I'm here to talk to you today about pursuing a biochemistry degree, I also want to see that after your biochemistry degree, you're most likely going to need to get a master's or PhD in order to be successful in your career. I'm trying to show you that UMES also has successful graduate programs that the biochemistry major can screen you off of. So as you can see, the bright green is the total enrollment, while the dark gray color is the undergraduate enrollment. Graduate enrollment is orange, and the full-time student is that weird looking green, and the part-time student is a brown color. So a lot of UMES relies on their undergraduate students. It's where they have the most majors, so you can see where it would fall in that high 3,000s range there for undergraduate students. And you can see that through the years the enrollment's only gone up and down a little, but has mostly stayed consistent from 2011 to 2015, which means they have great retention of freshman students, and also that they have new students who want to come in and pursue degrees here. Now, if you're here listening to this presentation and you're thinking about pursuing a biochemistry major, you already know there's a disproportionate amount of males to females in a STEM setting. Well, I'm here to let you know that overall at UMES, there are actually more females than males. While this may be bad for your dating life, this shows this is good for your academic life. Because most likely in your classes you're not going to be outnumbered by males and feeling pushed out, or that you can't answer, or that you're dumb for being in this class. Throughout the years, it's always been more females than males in an undergraduate major at UMES. Also, when coming here, there's something to keep in mind. UMES is a small school, and when I'm talking about total enrollment, I'm talking about all the majors there. So once you finally break it down and get specifically to the biochemistry major, there's actually not a lot of us. And all the total enrollment for biochemistry in 2015 was 28 students in total. This would include freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Now, if we break this down into race and ethnicity, there are about 22 African American biochemistry majors, while there are people who identify as 2 or more, which is about 2 people, 1 Hispanic, and then throughout the years there's been 1 or 2 or 3 people who identified as foreign students, and 1 person that identified as other. So, of course, you're on HBCU here, so there is probably going to be a lot of African American students, which is good because you'll feel more welcome here than you probably would at your biochemistry class at the predominantly white institution where it's still not a lot of minorities per se in this major. Here's where we get into the fun part about college. How much is it going to cost you? AKA, how much tuition is. If you are a full-time in-state undergraduate, it's going to cost you $7,804 per semester, which compared to some other schools like College Park in the area for in-state, that's pretty good. And then for an out-of-state undergraduate, it's going to cost you $17,188. You also have some fees in here, like an athletic fee, which is going to pay for you to go to your basketball games, baseball games, and things like that of that nature. You have your student activity fees, so that could be when you have events on campus and things like that. Recreational facilities, there's a game room in a bowling alley at UMES. There's also a student gym and several other facilities that are open to you as a student. You have the student union and the technology fee, which is for like the computers in the library, the computers that are stationed around campus for your use. Also, we have WEPA printers here that you get points every month that you can spend on printing things, so you don't have to worry about bringing a printer from home, which can save you on ink. And also, overall, the cost for the extra little fees is $2,249. Here I'm going to talk to you a little about what courses you're going to take. As a biochemistry major, if you can't guess, it's a mixture of biology and chemistry mixed together, but your main focus is still going to be chemistry. You're mostly a chemistry major, but you're going to take biology classes because you're focused on the chemistry within the body. So of course, coming in, like most natural sciences major, you're going to be required to take general biology. You can take general biology 2, but you're only really required to take general biology 1. General biology 2 for a biochemistry major will count as a program elective. General biology is basically just a little more advanced than what you would take if you took senior biology at school. And if you have AP credits from biology, this would knock out your general biology 1 and 2. Next, you take microbiology. Microbiology is focusing on the little organisms around like protea, protist, and it also has a focus on on diseases that are caused by vectors, so like mosquitoes and ringworm and things like that. You also will take a course on genetics, which is crucial because it gets your feet wet a little on what is now a growing field in the science and technology sector. And then cell biology is probably one of the last biology classes that you're going to take. And this class is almost, I would say, a precursor to taking biochemistry. It's a very helpful class to take because it will help you understand the more biological side of biochemistry, which can be very helpful when you're explaining where the chemical processes are taking place within the cell. You're also going to take a class called Senior Seminar. You can take either the biology or chemistry section, but I chose to take the biology section, so that's what I'm going to explain to you. And this is where you are learning how to present research. So you have to be able to make a 20-minute presentation and be able to answer 5 minutes of questions. And my teacher was nice enough to let us research on anything. So I researched multiple sclerosis, did my presentation, got an A. It's not hard, it's a 1-credit class, but it also is very helpful in preparing you for the future. And also, you're going to have to take a course that's called independent research, where at the end of that, you're going to need to present your information and be able to defend it against all your science professors. So the senior seminar is a course that will help get your feet wet before that. Now I'm going to get into the chemistry side of things. You have to take General Chemistry 1 and 2. This is a step up from your high school chemistry, and it's basically an overview of all the chemistry classes that you're going to take in depth during your career here at UMES. After General Chemistry, most people take Organic Chemistry next, since it's a requirement for Biochemistry. Excuse me. Organic chemistry is getting into your main elements of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. These are the main elements that are found in your body. So you'll take 1 or 2 sections of that. These are one of your, what I would say, weed out courses, so you have to be careful. This is one of those courses that will make or break you. I had several people in my class who took organic chemistry and changed majors. This is not to scare you, because you can do it. It's just to tell you that this class is no joke. Next is biochemistry. Biochemistry is, of course, the bread and butter of this major. This is where you're going over what you learned in organic chemistry, and now you're applying it to the body. This is also including things that you learned for general chemistry. All these chemistry courses, they're going to build on each other, so retain the information. So there's biochemistry 1 and 2. In biochemistry, you're focusing more on like the structure of things, amino acids, things like that. While in biochemistry 2, you're going to focus on metabolism and genetics. Now the next courses you're going to take are physical chemistry and analytical chemistry. Physical chemistry is actually going to be combining physics and chemistry together, so a lot of this is going to be how cells process foods and things like that, and adding in those equations that you would have learned in physics 1 and 2. Analytical chemistry is something that actually pharmacists, people who work in the pharmacy industry, use. There, you'll be analyzing chemical compounds and trying to figure out what they're made out of. Are they dangerous? Are they not dangerous? How to use advanced machinery and things like that. Then you have intermediary metabolism, and this is getting more in depth into the metabolism system within eukaryotes, which we as humans are eukaryotes, so they're more advanced in a prokaryote, which would be bacteria. So this intermediate metabolism is a good class to have taken before you take your PCAD or your MCAD, and also looks good on your resume when applying for medical school or pharmacy school. Also, you'll take a freshman seminar, and this is just a course to get you prepared for taking these high-level courses, just like giving you good study habits for these type of courses, or being able to discuss who's the best professor for this course, depending on your teaching style, or tips and tricks to get through having multiple chemistry and biology classes together. Now I'm going to discuss some of the professors that you're going to see throughout your career. The good thing about going to UMES is that it's small, which means you're going to see a lot of your professors again and get to really know their teaching style and their test style. Bad thing is, UMES is a small school, so if you didn't do so well with a professor, you're going to see them again. But most of the professors here, actually, all the ones I have encountered have been great professors, so you should have no problems. Now, I'm going to start with Dr. Okolate. Dr. Okolate will teach a lot of your biology classes. He specializes in microbiology. He also taught my senior seminar. Very excited about teaching and what he wants to get across to you, and he tries to make the class as interesting as possible, and also tries to relate it back to your chosen career field. Dr. Hearn teaches general chemistry and biochemistry. She also very much enjoys what she teaches. I can say that she is better at teaching biochemistry to me, because that's what she majored in and what she now does her research in. Then you have Dr. El Naim. I had him for genetics. often say that his voice was very soothing, and he was very good at, if he needed something explained further, he kept trying and trying to get things explained. You have Dr. Petula. Dr. Petula teaches cell biology and occasionally will help out with biochemistry. Dr. Petula will really test your critical thinking skills, which is a good thing for a scientist to have, because you're going to have to be quick on your feet sometimes with doing experiments. I had Dr. Potter for freshman seminar. She was very good at imparting with me good study habits and good work ethic. And I had Dr. Volkis for organic chemistry. Dr. Volkis was very good in her teaching style. She did something that's called a reverse classroom, where you did all your reading at home, and then you would come in and basically be quizzed on it, and you did group assignments, and you would do these things called clicker questions, where you had a little remote and you put multiple choice questions up on the board, and you would have to select the right answer, which made it a very interactive classroom and made sure that you had to come to every class. That way you could pass it, because organic chemistry, yet again I will say, is not an easy course. Then you have Dr. Wackesbeck. Dr. Wackesbeck teaches physical chemistry, and also when I took her during the summer for general chemistry, and she's good at both. She's very understanding of where you're going in your career path and tries to help tailor lessons towards that, and really helping you explain and really making sure you're understanding the information so you can pass your test and ultimately pass the class. So, for biochemistry or any really natural science majors, there's 3 clubs you can join. There's the biology club. This is for, of course, biologists. And they go on field trips to like the zoo or the aquarium or like out to the marshes, just to really study and get time in your field outside of the classroom for a more hands-on experience. There's the chemistry club. They do the same things as the biology club, but they're taking it from a chemistry perspective. They also a lot of times make sure that you are American Chemical Society certified, which looks very good on a resume. You also have the pre-professional society. The pre-professional society is referring to people who are probably going to go on and be dentists, physician's assistants, pharmacists, and things, and doctors, things of that society. So they're going to train you how to write a good resume, how to dress, what you need for the MCAT and PCAT and things like that. So these clubs are really just getting you prepared for your career field. It's also a good way of meeting your peers when you first come to campus and making sure that you stay on track. Of course, you can join other clubs. Just because you're a biochemistry major doesn't mean you have to be in a science club. But it's also, these are just good resume builders, and it's a good way to connect with people who could probably help you later on in your career, or you know who you might see again. For a biochemistry major, there are about 4 different career paths you can take. Of course, there are more, just depending on how you want to use your major, but these are the 4 main ones that I can see most biochemists going into. So, there's the analytical chemist, healthcare scientist, clinical biochemistry, toxicologist, and pharmacy. An analytical chemist will investigate the chemical nature of substances, and they're useful in the pharmaceutical industry. Like I said before, with your analytical chemistry class, which is probably just touching the tip of the surface of what analytical chemists do, they're researching the chemical nature of substances. So you could give them Coca-Cola, and they're going to research and see what chemicals are in this. Are they harmful to humans? Are they beneficial to humans? Will they tear up plants? Will they tear up the environment? Things like that. So they're very useful in several different settings, but especially the pharmaceutical setting, because there's always new drugs coming onto the market, and you need analytical chemists to be able to break them apart and see what's in them. Also, they're useful for identifying if there's any bad batches of drugs, which can also be a very big killer of people. Now, healthcare sciences. They analyze samples, help diagnose conditions, and run tests. A healthcare scientist is going to work in the labs of a hospital, most likely. So they're taking samples from patients, and they're running tests on them, and they're trying to see what's wrong, what's causing this. Is it a pathogen? Is it a vector? Did a fish crawl up somebody and infect them? Things like that. So they're going to be searching for those obscure diseases that no one thinks of until tests are run. Then you have a toxicologist. They analyze the effects of toxic materials and radiation on the environment and their effects on human and animal health. So, of course, just going in the environment, finding toxins. They're probably having the time of their lives now with global warming and seeing if there's any toxins that are causing global warming, and how if global warming is causing an influx of toxins that are affecting humans and the environment. And then finally moving on to pharmacy. Pharmacists are people who see how medicines are used and what their effects are on the body, and they give advice on what prescriptions to give to patients. So you have your doctor, and they're going to prescribe you general medications, but it's going to be the pharmacist's last decision on what type of medication you're getting. Will it interfere with anything else that you're taking? Will it mess up your sleep schedule? All of this. Because they're going to have more in-depth information on the drugs than the doctor probably will. The doctor just knows the general name, but you know the side effects of the different medications that you're going to be giving to the patient and how it all connects together to give them a complete healthcare picture. Finally, I would like to get into the details of my interview with Dr. Alicia Crowley. Dr. Alicia Crowley is a pharmacist who currently works for the FDA at the White Oak campus located in Silver Spring, Maryland. She is part of the Uniformed Services in a section called the Public Health Service. She worked for a retail pharmacy for a while, and then she graduated from Howard University Pharmacy School in 2002. When I did my interview with Dr. Crowley, she gave me 3 main locations where pharmacists will find work: retail pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, and then working for the government, mostly the FDA. Now, retail pharmacy is when you work for big chains like Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and then there's also the option to work for an independent pharmacy or open your own pharmacy. Things that you would do in a retail pharmacy setting is you will work very closely with the patients, because not only will they see their doctor, they're going to be seeing you to hand out the drugs. And they're going to want advice on like when to take it, how many should I take a day, what time should I take through the day, do I need to take it with food or not, and you're going to be giving that advice again to them. And then also checking with the other medications they have to make sure that this medication won't interfere with it. You'll also be hiring staff and training them and managing them once you have trained them. This will include cashiers and pharmacy techs. You're also worried about supplying the chain with their medication, so you'll be ordering and also selling off the medication. And then a big part of your job is going to be keeping records to make sure that people don't come in with fake doctor notes, ordering prescriptions or anything like that. The next section of work would be clinical pharmacy. A clinical pharmacist works in a hospital or like a general practice. Their main job, of course, is prescribing medications to patients. So the doctor will prescribe the general just medication, like the general name of it, but the pharmacist is going to pick which brand of the medication is going to be used for that patient, while also looking at the other medications again that this patient is on. This is to make sure that they will remain healthy while in the hospital and that they continue being healthy outside. And a lot of the pharmacists in clinical settings are worried about drug therapy. So just using drugs over a length of time to help lessen the condition or completely get rid of it. And then the last one, which Dr. Crowley does currently, is working for the FDA. FDA pharmacists still will compound prescription drugs for licensed practitioners. They also will give advice on drug therapies and how to use drugs. Another component that a clinical pharmacist and a retail pharmacist won't do is they evaluate drug proposals that come into the FDA. So they'll check and see if there's anything wrong with the compounding of the drug that comes in. Maybe this is not the proper way for the drug to be administered, things like that. They also keep an eye on drugs that are on the market to see if any of them are becoming more dangerous over time, and what is the reason why it's becoming more dangerous, and do they need to be pulled off the market to prevent any casualties. They also play a big role in research and development. So a lot of times they're researching techniques for better compounding of drugs or better ways to administer drugs to people, and they want to be on the forefront of that so they can be able to properly go back and evaluate the different drug proposals that are coming in from independent contractors. In conclusion, here are the benefits of pursuing your major at UMES. UMES has small class sizes. This means you can get more one-on-one time with your teacher. It's easier to find them in their office hours. It's easier to ask questions in class. You're closer to all your classmates, so a lot of times you can have study sessions together instead of having a class of 300 some places where you were literally just a number to the professor and they would have no idea if you were in class or not. These teachers care, these teachers can see you, and they want you to do better because they can get to know you better. Also means because there's less students at the school, there's less students under advisor. Most of your advisors are really going to know you by name. You have to come into them and get your class assignments, and they're going to help guide you through your years at UMES to make sure that you can graduate on time, or if you can't graduate on time, graduate as soon as possible. So on most colleges, campuses, you are just a number to your advisor. They don't know your name, they don't know your face. Probably no matter how hard you try to get on their good side or start conversation, you're just another student taking up their time. Right here at UMES, you're a student who's valuable to them. They try to get to know you, and you can try to get to know them, and they can help write letters of recommendation for you, find you lab jobs, things like that. The thing that I like about UMES, it seems like they require more lab time out of their students than most other schools. Because a lot of your science classes have lab components with them. So though this might mean you have a lot more time in the classroom technically than any other major, it's beneficial because it teaches you valuable lab skills that you're going to use out in the real world or in an internship or at a job. I also like they have required undergrad research, and which also requires you to have a lab component in that. So this is teaching you how to really just write a research paper and be able to be published, and how to run an experiment, proper lab techniques, how to use the machinery in the lab, things like that. Also, the biochemistry major is accredited by the American Chemical Society. This is a good accreditation to have because it's probably something most employers are looking for you to have, because it tells you that you know proper lab techniques. For us, that means you've had 2 years in a foreign language. This also can give you a leg up on your competitors when competing for a job. And then the school itself is accredited by the Middle State Commission on Higher Education. This is the same student body that's going to accredit College Park and probably every other Maryland college in this area, which means UMES is just as good as College Park. You can still get a great, beneficial education from here, and plus you get to keep a lot more money than if you went to College Park or Towson. Overall, I would consider UMES to be a great school and a great choice to get your undergraduate degree. Don't turn up your nose because it's small and in the middle of nowhere. You're here to learn, and there's still fun activities to do on class that are related to your major and can give you a leg up in the world.